gosh, it is time to do the Iowa Hawkeyes 2019 schedule outlook, in which I love to do outlooks for Big Ten teams because Big Ten fans are amazing. They really stick by their team, and they really have a reason to. It is a great traditions in the Big Ten that, I mean, personally, I don't think they rival anybody else. But okay, let's get into it. I actually uploaded a Nebraska Cornhuskers video, and I could not believe how many people that are Nebraska fans have such a problem with a mediocre outlook from somebody that's not a Nebraska fan, that's trying to look at it logically. And I'm not going to lie to you right now. I'm going to tell you that the Iowa Hawkeye outlook, in my opinion, which is a pretty good opinion, does not look good either, but it's not horrible. And what I think Iowa and Nebraska, but mainly Iowa, well, they're both super traditional teams, have to look out for is the fact that their traditions are on the line if they were to be anything less than mediocre during their downtime. Because the last couple of years for Iowa has been very down. Let's take a look at a couple things real quick before we talk about the schedule that even as Iowa fans you might find interesting. So if you're an Iowa fan, you know Kirk Ferentz. Just a few words about him, okay? He is the most tenured coach in the nation. And for those of you that don't know what the word tenured means, it means he's worked the longest. And he is the fifth coach in the conference history to ever win 150 games as a Big Ten head coach. And then here's another great statistic for Iowa. 37 games in 4 seasons. So that's 37 out of 48. That's a great number for your program and for your tradition. It's nothing to be ashamed of. So a lot of good things about Kirk Ferentz. All right, now their quarterback is Nate Stanley, and I don't think that Nate Stanley is going to lose his job his last year in. But I also think it is kind of the dirge. Okay, it might be the roadblock that holds Iowa back, and I don't know if it's a recruiting mistake that they made with Stanley or if it's something else, but his numbers are okay. 26, I thought I'd make the numbers a little bit bigger. 26 touchdowns in 2 seasons, that's not bad. So in 2018 and 2017, he threw the same number of touchdowns, had 400 more yards last year, but his statistics, they didn't get any better from 2017 to 2018. Now, 2018 to 2019, they need to be a lot better if Iowa wants to be good. But I believe, just looking in my lifetime about how quarterbacks have done their sophomore and junior year, they're going to do the same their senior year. So that's that. And here's some interesting stuff about Iowa's program under Ferentz and Stanley as head coach and quarterback. In the last 2 years, 17 and 18, they've lost back-to-back years to Purdue, back-to-back years to Wisconsin, back-to-back years to Northwestern, and back-to-back years to Penn State. So when Stanley was the starter, Stanley has not gotten over the hurdle of beating these teams. And these aren't even the absolute best teams in the Big Ten. But they are Big Ten football, and they are tough. So with that said, can Iowa Hawkeye football head coach, quarterback, team beat the teams this year? Because they have to if they want to be good. But because of these things, this is why I'm about to do this. Okay, versus Miami of Ohio should be a lock win. Should be a lock win over Rutgers. Now, the rivalry game between these two schools is for real. Last year, they did beat Iowa State, and I was actually really surprised. But I think Iowa State is the better team in 2019, so I have them losing. So at this point, they're 3-1. They play Middle Tennessee with the win at against Middle Tennessee. But here's what I have to say: I think Middle Tennessee has the ability to beat Iowa. So this one, I will watch this game for sure on TV, or at least track it, because that team, Middle Tennessee, they're no slouch team, even though they're not in a good conference. But then they I have Iowa losing to Michigan, which makes them 3-2, 1-1 in the conference. Now, at this point, if you're watching this video and you're an Iowa fan and you're like, oh, whatever, well, I'm sorry. I also have them losing to Penn State. Why? Because Ferentz and Stanley have not beaten Penn State in the last couple of years. And you say, oh, it's because of Barkley. Oh, it's because they have Heisman candidates and they're NFL draft players. Well, okay. And then I have them beating Purdue, although they have lost to Purdue, but I don't believe that Purdue has a better team on paper this year than they did last year. And then a loss to Northwestern because just like a lot of other teams in the West, they just can't get past the Wildcats for some reason. And I realize that Northwestern's recruiting and coaching staff is good, but Iowa should be able to beat this team, but they just can't get past them. So at this point, they're 4-4, and it's 2-3. And then they also can't get over the Wisconsin hurdle either, so they would be 4-5 and 2-4. So then they go in play Minnesota, and I believe, for some reason, I believe Minnesota's not gaining ground in comparison to the other teams in the Big Ten West. So I think that Iowa can easily beat Minnesota. I mean, but again, West versus West, that's those games are always good to watch. They're always fun. They're always competitive, and I think that Iowa can pull this one out versus Minnesota. And then I have them beating Illinois, obviously. I don't think Illinois is going to get a single conference win in 2019. And then I have them beating Nebraska. So that would make Nebraska 5-4 in the conference. I don't think it's good enough to win the Big Ten West. Obviously not. But a 6-6 overall. And honestly, I did not even, before I looked at the schedule, I did not think that, just looking at it, glancing, that they would be 6-6. But I think there's a very real chance that Iowa could be 6-6 this year. Now, if they can get past Wisconsin and Purdue and Northwestern, then they would have a great reason to say, yeah, we're going to win the Big Ten West. But I think those three teams, Wisconsin, Purdue, and Northwestern, are the teams that Iowa's going to have to beat this year. And Nebraska is not a lock win because they've been on the same level recently. Nebraska and Iowa have, and Wisconsin, and really Northwestern for that matter. So those four teams, to me, it's like throw the dice out on the table and see which one lands as a winner between those four teams. But again, 5-4 in the conference, 6-6. I don't know how else to pick this. If somebody has a better idea, let me know.